paid, child support payments for 18 years, consistent payments. That was an annuity, right? And annuities that get invested, you can do math to calculate how much that annuity is worth over a certain amount of time. And that kicks into something called the time value of money, where you might count up over 20 years that you paid, say, $100,000 towards some annuity. But if it's properly invested, that $100,000 should be three or $400,000. Why? Well, because of compound interest. You need compound interest to work in your favor. Compound interest is like economic wind. Some of us are running with the wind. Some of us are running against the wind. The person who owns stock is running with the wind. You're benefiting from compound interest. The worker who doesn't invest, you're running against the wind. Inflation pops in, it kicks you in your butt. You're paying all these bills, you're getting no benefit. You're consuming like crazy, spending lots of money, you're getting no benefit. You're paying rent to the landlord, you're getting no benefit. But the landlord benefits from your rental payment. He's running with the wind. You're running against the wind. So when you're investing all that money in his family by paying your rent every month, he's taking that money, he's buying himself property, and property values are naturally going up. So when inflation hits, he wins because inflation, first thing that goes up with inflation is the property value. So he wins when inflation hits. You freak out because the cost of bananas just went up another 30%, right? I can keep going down the list. I'm not going to keep going. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I think you get the point. Let me know if you get that point. So with this economy, you want to position your family so you're running with the wind. You want compound interest to work in your favor. You want inflation to work in your favor. You want everything that drives American capitalism to work in your favor, and it's not that hard. Participate in the stock market, looking into getting into real estate as soon as you can, starting businesses, like taking the time to train yourself and your family on business ownership, making that part of the culture. Because what that'll do is that'll train you to see business opportunities so that when when an opportunity emerges, you won't just be looking for a paycheck. Okay. All right. Tasman, how much money do you need or recommend to start your Prime service? Because selling cover calls requires capital, if I'm not correct. You know what, Tasman, I would say if you want to activate and actually sell call options, I think that a capital base of $4,000 to $5,000 is a good place to begin. And I've seen people get together with family members and pull their money together. Some people who've maybe been saving in their 401ks and stuff, or have a little home equity they can borrow against, or you have to have some type of access to capital to be able to apply it. But remember, I learned all this stuff and I didn't have any capital when I learned it. So sometimes remember, learning is a type of investing too. You're not investing money, but you're investing time. Never think that investing is always only about money. In fact, most investing has nothing to do with money. Investing is the allocation of scarce resources towards some sort of long-term benefit. What's a scarce resource in your life? Okay, you think you're broke because you don't have any money? Is that well, if you think you're broke because you don't have any money, then you haven't been listening in class. Money is probably the least valuable thing that you have in your possession. I have money, but money is the least valuable thing that I have. I've been a millionaire for about 40 years now, probably, maybe 35, I don't know. And why do I say that? Well, because when I was 22, I didn't have any money, but I was a straight A student with a college degree. I had two bachelor's degrees and I had a triple major. So I was already a millionaire. I had insane amounts of knowledge. I was teaching college students when I was 22 years old at Indiana University. Um, I had my youth, lots of energy to invest in the things that I wanted to do. I had time. 22 years old, I have a lot more time than I have at 53. So I was already a millionaire. I just didn't have any money yet. Do you understand? So if you don't have money to invest, stop stop letting that lead you to believe that you have no wealth. You're incredibly wealthy already, but I'm just here to guide you to the money. I want you to have the money because the money is a critical component of it all, but sometimes the money doesn't come right away. So the knowledge, when you're filling your brain up with knowledge and you're saying, okay, I'm gonna spend 2 hours a day investing time into learning whatever I'm learning, yeah, you're giving yourself an annuity. That, when I would study 7, 8 hours a day working on my doctorate, that was my annuity to myself. I still benefit financially and otherwise at 53 from annuities I was paying myself at the age of 23. Do you understand? So I really need you to stop thinking about wealth as cash. Cash is these worthless little green pieces of paper that only have psychological value. If people stop believing in cash or stop believing in the federal government, which they're testing your faith right now because they keep building these larger and larger deficits and they keep devaluing the dollar consistently. Um, it you know if people stop believing in those dollars, then they lose their value. All right, let's see. Is Joby a good stock to invest in? I don't have time to look it up, Lisa, but I've heard of it. I think they're an aviation company. I think they're doing those eVTOLs. Yeah, which is a basically these vehicles that I forgot what the eVTOL stands for, but long story short, they're like these little drone type things that take off and they lift straight up and fly. Yeah, Joby. I like Joby. I own Joby. Rodney Ray, for the summer months, can you start speaking directly to kids? Starting Monday, my kids will be on these classes every day through summer. It'd be great if we spoke directly to them. I told them you are their teacher and professor. That's a great point, Rodney. I don't have the time to do an extra class right now, um, but maybe we can consider that. At the very least, I try my best not to cuss during the morning class because I know that some people bring their kids. But then again, I my daddy used to cuss all the time, so that's so if I ever slip up, it's blame it on my daddy. But and come on, they're hearing this stuff anyway. They got access to the internet. Come on now. But anyway, regardless though, I would say that when it comes to kids for this summer, at the very least, I know for sure we have financial flashcards for kids. So you can go to financialflashcards.com. We got flashcards on every type of topic that I think kids need to know on stock market investing, real estate investing, entrepreneurship, crypto, and stock options. I've never seen flashcards for stock options for kids, but I want to be as serious about training our kids on wealth as we are about training them to play in the NFL. When you're training kids to play in the NFL, you give them the best training possible and you make them into elite athletes. So I want the kids to be elite economic athletes. I want them to be the best on earth. So yeah, it's okay to teach your 4-year-old about stock options. They're gonna know a lot about options whether you teach them or not. Every young black man in a jail cell knows what it feels like to have no options. There's no prison I couldn't go to and find a young black man who couldn't explain to me what it means to have options and not have options. So they're going to learn about options whether you teach them or not.